Hello and welcome to World of Business, your weekly update into trending news and latest developments on the stock markets. It's also on this show we herald unsung but thriving business entrepreneurs. My name is Tafaranda Guta. Now, Zimbabwe's mining sector is entering a new phase of economic consolidation, with the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Authority confirming 171 new investment licenses worth over 1.2 billion United States dollars in just 2 quarters. This demonstrates significant capital inflow and reflects growing international confidence in the Second Republic's industrialization strategy. With transformative projects such as the Palm River Energy and Metallurgical Special Economic Zone, Zimplat's expansion, and government's firm policy on value addition and mineral beneficiation, this marks a transition from raw mineral extraction to a structurally transformative mining-led industry economy. To unpack the macroeconomic implications, industrial linkages, and long-term value creation, economist Marlon Gwadu will join me in the second segment for an in-depth analysis. But for now, we're going to give you the exchange rates. The Zimbabwe gold to the United States interbank was at 26.62 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the Great Britain pound interbank rate was at 35.55 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the euro interbank rate was at 30.94 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the South African rand interbank was at 0.65 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the Botswana pula interbank rate was at 1.87 ZiG. We also give you commodity prices on the global market. Gold per ounce traded at $4,238 after it went up by 1.38 percentage points. Silver per ounce traded at $51.44 after it went up by 1.60 percentage points. Copper per pound traded at $506.55 after it went up by 0.89 percentage points. Platinum per ounce traded at $1,661.60 after it went up by 1.64 percentage points. Now that concludes this first segment here on World of Business on ZBC. Do stay tuned. We've got more to unpack here on this show. Now, welcome back to the second segment of World of Business, and we're joined in the studio by economist Mr. Marlon Gwadu. Mr. Marlon, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure.
Now, let's dive deep into it. From an economic perspective, the issuance of 171 licenses worth over $1.2 billion in just 6 months represents a substantial inflow of productive capital into Zimbabwe's mining sector, correct? Now, how do you assess the impact of these investments on the country's capital formation, industry capacity, and long-term value retention?
I think capital formation is further being entrenched in the mining sector, and it speaks to confidence in the mining sector, because the moment you've got reciprocal capital flowing into the mining and extractive sector, it speaks to the confidence that the world has in the mining sector. So the capital in form of license, in form of the actual cash, which we hope is largely beneficial and of value addition nature, speaks volumes to the the capability that the mining sector has, and the widened tax base that we benefit from increased investments, which means more commercial value that investors have, and also the foreign currency generating capacity is further enhanced, which speaks to which will catapult probably our currency management framework. You'll be aware that we're having building reserves which are of both cash and kind in nature. So the kind aspect, which will speak to the output that mining sector has, and probably remit to the authorities who also entrench our economic stability and growth and development efforts.
All right. Now, the minister highlighted that Zimbabwe holds over 60 mineral commodities, with only a quarter currently being exploited. Economically, how does this underutilized mineral endowment provide an opportunity for strategic value chain development and domestic industrialization, ensuring that the mineral extraction translates into local economic growth? We also have to include the SMEs, the small players. They also have to benefit from all of this.
Well, obviously, untapped economic mineral that is not, untapped mineral that is not being extracted and value is lost economic activity. And it's got a downstream effect that is dire, including the SMEs. But over and above that, we need to be strategic in terms of unlocking value that is beneficial for the economy and also of commercial value to the investors.
Sorry, just to hold you there, how do we unlock this value from your perspective?
Or obviously incentive mechanisms that are meant to capacitate investors. For example, special economic zones, which have been activated in aspects like Beitbridge, for example, the industrial park in Beitbridge, to mention but a few. This speaks to dialogue between investors and government in a way that's got value and downstream value chain activities for the both communities in the local level, as well as central government and the overall economic, body of our country.
All right. Now, with projects like the $3.6 billion Palm River Energy and Metallurgical Special Economic Zone, like you're mentioning, the government argues that special economic zones will anchor industrialization. Now, from your perspective, how are these zones creating forward and backward linkages and promoting domestic value capture and catalyzing sector spillover into the broader economy?
Well, special economic zones speak to local community involvement in economic activities of that particular aspect. So the moment there's special economic zones, it means to incentives that are meant to capacitate investors, have patient returns for both government and investors.
On that one, can you give us like one or two types of the incentives that you're talking about?
Tax holidays, less rigorous compliance activities, as well as exemption of certain permits. You'll be aware the government is in a drive to streamline permits at a national level. It speaks to capacitating of investors in a way that brings commercial value. So special economic zones, going back to where you mentioned that there's need for them to be catapulted in a way that capacitates the economy at large, as well as individual or a community-based development, such as infrastructure like schools, roads, clinics, and all those things, in a way that enhances our economic position and development as a country.
All right. Now, Zimbabwe is also witnessing large-scale vertically integrated projects such as the Zhongjing Heli Coke Energy Cement Complex and Zimplats solar and smelting expansion. Economically, how do these initiatives contribute to industry efficiency, enhanced local content, and retention of wealth within the national economy?
Industry development is at the core value addition, because you're moving away from just being extractive and primary-based commodity producers to the actual end product, which is manufacturing. So industry development is enhanced in the process, and also labor absorption is quite high. There will be more employees that are required for industrialization. The tax base is widened, and foreign kinds generating capabilities, assuming that is export, is also quite good. For example, Prospect Lithium has prospects of manufacturing batteries in the medium to long term. It speaks to industrialization. It speaks to more employment being created. It speaks to taxes being probably increased, foreign kinds generating capabilities, as well as Zimbabwe being a potentially battery manufacturing hub, given the primary commodity which we hold, which is lithium, is quite important at the global scale.
Talking about lithium, government plans to ban lithium concentrate exports by 2027 after already restricting chrome ore exports. Now, from a development economic standpoint, how do these beneficiation and export policies stimulate domestic processing capacity, encourage industrial diversification, and enhance resource-based economic sovereignty?
Well, it's a catch-22 situation, because from a commercial perspective, economic beneficiation and value addition speaks to basically higher level of value addition for the economy. And the possibilities are endless, from profits, taxes, foreign currency, employment, and all those things. But these require serious energy and electricity guarantee. And at the moment, we are largely on our way to having efficient and effective, energy guarantee. So while the ban is welcome, it's meant to capacitate for additional beneficiary. It needs to be complemented by the necessary electricity guarantees and electricity availability in the country. So we are hoping that there's dialogue between the two parties in a way that does not collapse production, but capacitates and enhances production in the long term.
All right, that's wonderful. Now, the minister concluded by stating that true sustainability means that the people benefit first. How can Zimbabwe measure the socio-economic outcomes of these mining investments, including employment generation, skills development, local ownership, and contribution to macroeconomic growth indicators? Now, you've already mentioned infrastructure that's being developed as we go, but you can also further explain and elaborate on that one.
Well, employment and labor absorption is at the core of all these mineral activities in a way that capacitates and reduces our unemployment rate as a country. And social welfare, in the sense that the critical infrastructure, like you mentioned, basic access to water, clinics, schools, roads, lighting, and all those things are also an aspect that needs to be measured in these mineral and value addition activities. Then over and above, the skills transfer is very important. You'll be aware that mining sectors are technologically advanced entities, so there's need to increase technological transfer in a way that benefits our locals in the medium to long term for us to be sustainable and emancipated from foreign-based development in our minerals to local and broad-based for our people.
Okay. Now, that's quite an interesting discussion that we're having in the studio. Now, do stay tuned for the third segment. We've got more to unpack. Do stay tuned. Now, welcome to the final segment of World of Business, where we cast the spotlight on our entrepreneur of the week. Now, this week, the World of Business team spoke to Tatenda Jakata, a young innovator who co-founded an agri-tech company specializing in small farming technologies. Let's hear from my co-host and field presenter, Cellah Marere. Cellah, over to you.
Thank you, Tafara. On this final segment, like the previous episodes, we cast the spotlight on our local entrepreneurs that are doing major projects in supporting the government's Vision 2030 and the National Development Strategy 1 initiatives. On this particular segment, in support of the government's efforts to prioritize food security and agriculture as the backbone of our economy, we've taken the liberty to visit one of the local companies, young and budding, I would say, that are revolutionizing Zimbabwean farming with drone-powered precision agriculture. We're going to speak to Tatenda Jakata, who is one of the co-founders, a vibrant young lady who is going to walk us through their journey from the time that they started this initiative, that's 9 months ago, up until now. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe briefly, just to kickstart the conversation, can you walk us through your journey, briefly introduce yourself and the company that you started?
Okay. My name is Tatenda Jakata, and I'm a co-founder. We mainly deal with water survey, which is mainly the borehole siting. We also do land use planning. We also do rural development and agro-tourism. So mainly that's how we help farmers. Our company, we started it in December last year.
Okay.
Yes. What pushed us to start was mainly the need for precision farming and the need for water mainly. So let's say for farms, there's mainly shortage of water, and that's what's declining the productivity in farms. So when we do borehole surveying, that means we are siting the whole farm using the drone system, and that means we'll get more points and we'll get the highest water points that will enable the farmer to go on with their production.
How does your company support the government's National Development Strategy 1, looking at the fact that we're trying to modernize agriculture and making it more climate resilient? How is your company coming in to support this vision?
Okay, in terms of climate resilient, if you look at one of the 14 pillars of the NDS 1, that means which is food and nutrition. If we are to have more water, that means we've got more productivity. And then if land use is done right and is planned right, even on a communal area basis, if a lot of people are going to do something that's productive, put the right crop at the right place and with the right water. If we have rural development even, the better. If we have agro-tourism, the better. That means we're going to boost the food and nutritional value. And then when water now is involved within the whole system, the whole value chain, that means the farmer has water on that land and they're able to produce more.
So from everything that you have said so far, what I'm gathering is that this particular innovation that you're involved in falls under the umbrella term of smart farming. How do you ensure that these innovations, they reach the smallholder and communal farmers? How do you make them accessible to them?
To make it accessible to the communal farmers, mainly we are available. We attend every farmers union. We are affiliated with the Young Farmers Union organization, and we move around each and every province and we talk and we speak to communal farmers that are on the land. When we do site visits, we make sure that we spread the word too. And if there are big events, maybe for example, we've got the biggest event that happened this year, the ZIDA. We were there for their 75-year anniversary. We were also there. So whenever communal people gather, we are there. So that's how best we can spread the word, especially to the communal farmers and the smallholder farmers.
Okay, so you said you've been in operation for the past 9 months, started last year in December.
Yes.
How's been the uptake of this innovation or this initiative when it comes to our local farmers? And what recommendations would you pass with regards to how people adapt to technology, new technologies in farming?
I'll say in terms of uptake, it has been wonderful in the sense that farmers are slowly adapting to drone technology. Why? Because it saves time, and doing it right at the first time, and it will save your pocket as a farmer, because the main goal at the end of the day is profit. Right? So we are saying that if you're a farmer, if you do it right, if you do your land use planning, that means you're putting the right crop at the right time and make sure that you're maximizing on the land and the same time as profit.
As we know, Zimbabwean agriculture is vulnerable to droughts and erratic rainfall patterns, as we have seen in the past. How do you ensure that this technology helps farmers adapt to climate change and droughts?
The main thing is you conduct a water survey. When we do a water survey, it's mainly a 2-in-1. When we say a 2-in-1, you're getting your highest water point. This is where you're going to drill your bore. At the same time, you're going to get a map that shows your land suitability analysis. That means the areas where the water table is high and the areas where the water table is low. It differentiates where you put your high-yielding crop and your low-yielding crop, or high-value crop to low-value crop. So basically, that's how we help you adapt to climate change. So that being in a system with the whole value chain, water survey and the land use planning together, it will help you fight your climate change.
With this particular technology, how are you helping farmers transition from the data-driven decision-making, that's the traditional way of doing things, to a more modernized approach, and to what yields or efficiency benefits does this come with?
Do your land use planning analysis. We're looking at your vegetation, we're looking at your soils. For example, I'll give an example in the dryland areas. For example, in around Gutu area, we've got the marula tree. That represents that your land is highly fertile, but at the same time it's dry. So imagine if all that is analyzed at once, and we're putting all that information in a comprehensive form, and we're telling you, put this crop there, put this enterprise there, put maybe, let's say, your cattle in an area where it's not dumpy, where it avoids waterlogging. That means when the rain season comes, you are avoiding your January disease, your foot and mouth, etc. So it just depends, and it differs from farmer to farmer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. As we wrap up the conversation, maybe looking at the country's Vision 2030,
Yes.
and achieving an upper middle income economy by 2030. Also looking at agriculture is the backbone of our society, of our economy rather,
Yes.
and also looking at the fact that smart farming, modernizing agriculture is one of the key goals under the National Development Strategy 1. What role do you see yourselves playing as a company, and also particularly you as a visionary of the company? What role do you see yourselves playing in as far as transforming Zimbabwe's agriculture into a viable, tech-driven economic engine?
I can say the main thing that we're looking at and the vision is to make precision farming a standard for each and every farmer, so that you do it right at the first time. So that also if you own a small piece of land, you are able to maximize on that land. You're able to produce high value crop on that particular land and nothing limiting you. So if you do your strategic planning from the get-go, let's say you own maybe 50 hectares, but you can afford 2 hectares. If you maximize on that 2 hectare farm, you're able to expand you're able to expand at a slower pace, but make sure that you're maximizing on each and every profit. So that alone, it will boost on export value. It also boosts on income value as per farmer.
Okay.
So basically, that's what I can say.
Okay, so maybe just a side note.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
You're 26.
Yes.
And you said before you founded this company, you were working.
Yes.
What are your words of motivation to that young person, probably someone who has recently graduated,
Yes.
and they're still trying to set foot into the corporate world? What would you like to say with regards to entrepreneurship?
I would say entrepreneurship is not an easy road, but the good thing, or the thing that you have to do is to just start. Just start, and the doors will start opening as you progress. So, and also do your research and don't be too comfortable in a place.
Okay, thank you so much, Tatienda. Like we have heard from this conversation, in an era where food security and climate resilience are critical, technology can be a game changer for Zimbabwean agriculture. The seeds of transformation are being sown, and the harvest could feed the nation. Until next time, it's back to you, Tafara.
Now that concludes this week's episode of World of Business, and from myself, Tafara Ndaguta, and the crew behind the scenes, we say back to business.